Welcome back into the podcast. Thanks for hanging out with Sean and myself as we talk investing, finance, and retirement. And Sean, there's a lot of layoffs happening, a lot of stuff going on across the country. Whatever side of you find yourself on is not the point. The point is if you're in this position, what do you do, right? What's some things to think about? So we're going to talk a little bit about this book as well, and we'll have this for folks if they want to get a copy of this. We'll put that in the links to get them set up. But this is from somebody that works there on the staff with you, right?
Yeah. So Melissa Ceballos
Yep.
is on our team, and her job is outreach to the community. I
Okay.
mean, that's what she does. But interestingly enough, Melissa comes from an HR background. So
Okay.
she worked for a rental car company for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
At one point in time, she was let go, and she went
Like many of us
through
have
this
been.
journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she had to go out and she had to decide what she was going to do when the only career that she's known is come to an end.
Yeah. Being downsized, laid off, whatever it might be, right?
And so she came into the finance side, and this was about a year and a half ago that she thought, well, do we have the ability to take everything that she's learned, all of her experiences when it comes to being laid off, and translate that to what are those next steps in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And what does that look like, whether it's finding a new career, whether it's preparing for retirement, and what do you do? So this is a book. We do have this available. And so I thought we'd talk about that today.
Yeah, for sure. So it's navigating a career transition, right? Which many can
Yep.
certainly relate to right now. But you know what? I mean, it's a walk of life that so many people have gone through, right? So whether you're still out there working, and think about like our demographic that we talk to a lot, and your demographic that you serve, Sean. Sometimes people lose their positions in their 40s or their 50s, and they're thinking, "Hey, I got to scramble to figure out, if I'm still going to be on track for retirement or whatever the case is, right?" So with auto workers, airlines, we've seen it in all kinds of things through the years. So let's talk a little bit about it. I think the mindset is really kind of interesting. She talks a lot about, just kind of figuring out first where you're at, right?
Right. Like when in the first chapter is career transitioning, like what should you consider when you want to pivot your career? And the one thing that she really brought out is, doing a self-assessment. And that's here in the book, and understanding like
It goes a long way.
what skills do I have? What do I enjoy doing? What do I love doing?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, looking at, okay, based on my skill set, what I love to do, let's find target industries that my skill set translates to.
Right.
And are there certain companies that are appealing to me, or certain companies that I want to work for? What sort of upskills or training do I need to have? And one thing that Melissa's really good at is networking and networking and finding opportunities for not just herself, but she's on up at the University of Utah. She helps the Utah alumni with career transitions when they've been laid off.
Okay.
So it's really understanding, okay, where can we go if we're laid off? What should we do? Should we go find a new job?
Yeah.
Or in some cases, maybe it's like, hey, listen, I've got a certain set of skills. Should I start my own business, or should I consult?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me ask you about that, right? So, first, I guess let me pivot just a little bit, and I'll bring it back to that. So, do you have a lot of federal employees in that area, or people that are maybe taking the buyouts, some of the things like that?
We do have federal employees here.
State
Obviously,
parks.
as big city, we've got
Yeah.
federal parks. We've got a VA here. We haven't really seen a lot of federal employees on our side.
Yeah. I mean, most of it seems to be DC, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the data shows there's 75,000 people that have accepted that early buyout. Now, some parts of the government were exempt from that. That broad email went out, and then certain people were exempt based on their role. Social workers for the VA are exempt; they can't take it.
Right.
And as just one example, but we're not seeing a lot quite yet. But we have a lot of people that have been laid off in the airline industry
Yeah, I was
or
gonna say aerospace. I mean, there's all sorts of different stuff. So pivoting that question back to it. So if you're at that kind of crux in life where it's like, okay, whether it's the federal thing happening now or just any, just regular stuff that happens to folks, do you kind of look at and run the numbers and go, okay, is this a blessing? Let me find the silver lining. Is this a blessing in disguise? What do I maybe want to do? Maybe I do want to start a side business, or maybe I do want to do consulting. Maybe I don't need the full-time job anymore because I'm that close to retirement, right? That's where the analysis really starts to come in.
right. And the third one is, do I get to retire early?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Do I start a business? Do I consult, or do I retire early? And a lot of people are like, I don't know. I don't know if I can retire early.
I got no clue.
All that's happened is I've been blindsided by my employer that I'm being let go, or I'm being laid off, or I'm getting a buyout, or whatever it may be, and I don't know what those next steps are.
Right.
Well, the first step is take a breath and then recalibrate, right? Come up with a plan. Take some time and figure out what your skill set is, where you want to be, job wise, who you want to work with, etc. And then from that, look at your options. Do I start a business? What skills or business ideas do I have that I could create?
Especially coming from what you were just doing, right? Maybe you loved it, maybe you hate it. Maybe it's time because you're fantastic woodworker or something, and it's time to start your own business or whatever.
Or I was talking to a buddy the other day. He had a friend during COVID got laid off, and he created. Have you ever seen those little tiny trailers, like the little bubble trailer that fits like one person?
Oh yeah.
So he custom did those for people.
Oh, nice.
And that transition from I got laid off from my job to he's got his own working hours, his own business. He does a couple every month in his garage. And now he's got this growing business of doing something that he loves to do without having to go out and work the 9-to-5 shift. And he's making more money.
Yeah. And happier. I mean, I know a bunch of people that, even in COVID, we saw it, right? So it's like, hey, you know what? I'm not going back, or whatever the case is, I'm that close. Let me look and maybe transition into something else and find some happiness. But I don't know, does it need to start with, you've lost the job, right? If it's been taken from you without your, it's like you didn't have any say in it, right? What's the first step? Is the first step just getting a financial, outline so that you know where you stand?
Well, for a lot of people, it's kind of a gut punch, right? And then they get panicked
or pissed.
And so, they're mad, they're upset, and it's like, oh my gosh, what next?
Right.
Well, depends on where you sit financially. Do I need to go out and find a job immediately?
Right.
If that's the case, what do you?
If you're 35 or 38 or 40 or 42, probably, right? But what if you're 55, right? Maybe not. If you've done well.
Well, and that's the thing. A lot of government employees, they've got pensions, they've got tenure, and so now when you start to see what's happening from a planning perspective, it's a matter of taking some steps and saying, all right, I'm 55 or 57. I didn't quite know if I could retire. I don't know what the puzzle looks like.
Right.
Let's start to get the pieces put in place to determine what needs to happen now in this next phase of life. It doesn't always have to necessarily be a scary thing to go through the planning side. It can be quite exciting because you may go through and say, hey, I've been with the government for 20 years, or I've been with my employer for 20 years. I've saved a good amount of money. I'm 55. What does that look like now if I retire from at this point on? Will I have the funds to live the retirement that I want?
Yeah.
And all of that comes with a math problem. It's, what are your sources? What are your expenses? What source of income will kick in at a later date? If my pension's not available now, at what age will I get it? When will Social Security kick in? How long do I have to leverage my own money? And will the plan stress out?
Right. Will it be able to support that, or is it going to fold like a flan in a cupboard, right? If you close the door too hard. So if you, and one of the things about this cool little guide, it's not very big, so it's easy read for folks.
Yep.
Is she's got little spots in there where you could kind of do like your pros and cons, right? Your key takeaways and then your action items on some of the different stuff. So if you guys again want to check that out, we'll put links in the show descriptions below for you to go do it. So I think you got to get a plan, you got to get a step, but then you really do have to kind of, I think you're to your point, you have to self-reflect on this quite a bit.
Yeah, and you've got to understand, there's some people are just done with work, and if that's
a lot of us would love to be, right? Yeah,
cool. But there's also I've heard, I was talking to a guy it was like 2 weeks ago, and he's all, Sean, I'm not done yet.
Yeah,
I got more that I can give. I got more that I want to give, and I'll know when I'm done.
Yeah.
What I'm going to give, I don't quite know yet. I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I've got more productivity in me.
I think a lot of us, Sean, are in that boat, right? Like the people that come in, they're like, I'm just done. I think it's done with that job, right? I think a lot of times there's the burnout of that, because I think fundamentally we're wired as humans to do something,
to create and to build. And I mean, this is only country in the world where we can go out and we can create business, and we can create opportunity and flourish as an economy. So
yeah.
When we look at that, I look at, hey, yeah, there are layoffs happening to you, but what a phenomenal time for you to go out, if you want to go out and create your own opportunity.
Sure. Scary. Absolutely. But you've got to look for some, you got to look for some of that silver lining. I mean, think about the ways that you can make money in this country now, right? And only this country. I mean, I guess there's other countries that do it too. I don't want to say it that way, but my dad taught me years ago when I was a teenager, he's like, making money in this country is not hard. You just have to be willing to look for it. And then you have to be willing to do it. Right. And I kind of always stuck with me a little bit. I thought, well, that's a really interesting way of looking at it. Right. So there's so many, think about, right now, like we're on this podcast thing. Like, who would have thought this kind of format would have blown up the way that it has the last decade?
You're going to see the world of employment is going to change over the next 8, 9, 10 years with AI becoming more prevalent. Certain jobs are going to be taken away.
They're going to be obsolete. Yep.
New opportunities are going to be added. So we have to prepare. We have to prepare that, hey, my job could be gone tomorrow. I don't think it will, but we have to prepare that what's that next phase of life, whether it's start a business, do some consult, retire, understanding my math problem to be able to retire.
Right.
And when you understand your math problem, whether you want to retire or not, you understand what it takes to get from here to the end of life. And if you're set, that gives you a lot of freedom. So if I know my financial plan, my retirement plan is in great shape, regardless of what my employer does.
Yeah.
I don't care what my work is different then. Work's a choice at that point. It's because I choose to go to work, not because my employer pays me. It's I choose to go give my time and I choose to go be productive. But that doesn't happen unless you have clarity on how your plan is going to be constructed, how your plan is going to serve you.
Yeah, for sure. So since you brought this up, I just looked real fast while we were chatting so we could talk about this. So you're talking about AI is going to continue to change things. Again, take the political aspect out of it. People just getting upset about job losses or whatever. Stuff happens and jobs get obsolete. So I just quickly did, 20th century jobs that no longer exist, right? Switchboard operators, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, once upon a time, that was a massive amount of people that worked as switchboard operators. Here's what I didn't even know existed. Now, you can imagine that you were a knocker upper. Okay. In today's connotation, that sounds really weird. But this was a person who waked you up by banging on your window or your door before the invention of alarm clocks, right? Now, everybody's got to wake up. So they probably figured, I'm never going to lose this job. I'm always going to be in demand because you got to wake up in the morning, right?
Oh, crap. Somebody made a little box that when it hits 6 a.m., it blares this meh, 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 and now my job's gone.
And now my job's gone. Yeah. Elevator operators, right? So before buttons were added, you had a person that ran the lift, right? They took it up, they took it down. So yeah, stuff happens. Humans, we are always transitioning. Always transitioning.
So that's the point behind this. Just upgrade your path. Just request. We'll put the links in. Just request it. Melissa did a phenomenal job. And if you are in that situation where you have been let go or you're looking for a new career transition,
right?
reach out. We'll help you along the way.
Yeah, exactly. So again, if you want a copy of it, easy read, easy little workbook, kind of work on some things for yourself. We'll have a link in the show descriptions below. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, all that good jazz. And we'll be back with more conversation here with Sean on the next episode. This is Retirement Elevated, and we'll see you next time. Again, click the links if you need to get some time onto the calendar and talk with him, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, buddy.
Cool. Awesome, man. Thank you.
Have a good one. We'll catch you next time here on the podcast with Sean Lee.
This video has been prepared for educational and marketing purposes only. The information in this video is general in nature, does not constitute personalized investment advice, and does not provide a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. All investments involve risk, and different types of investments involve varying degrees of risk. There can be no assurance that any specific investment strategy will be profitable or suitable to you. Additionally, although information presented in this video is believed to be factual and up to date, we do not guarantee its accuracy. You should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation and should consult a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies mentioned in this video. Investment advisory services are offered through Elevated Capital Advisors LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group LLC. Registration as an investment advisor does not constitute an endorsement of Elevated Capital Advisors LLC by securities regulators, nor does it indicate that the firm has attained a particular level of skill or ability. Insurance advice and products may be offered by a third-party insurance producer, which may be affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group LLC and Elevated Capital Advisors LLC. Mark Killian and Third Wheel Media LLC receive compensation for their assistance in preparing and hosting this video.